there, and welcome to the Stories for Tomorrow podcast. So, what's it all about? If you love listening to inspiring and fascinating stories, you are in the right place. We love chatting with interesting people with stories to tell. In each episode, we will be sharing true stories told by real people. We believe that stories should last forever, and our mission is to keep stories alive by sharing them. We hope you enjoy it. This podcast is sponsored by Klokbox, a digital memory box of your life to be shared with future generations. With your host, Lotte Lyne.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Stars for Tomorrow podcast. In this episode, we're going to speak with a very strong mother that had to face a cruel reality 12 years ago when her older son, Stephen Lyne, was brutally murdered at the age of 17 in Ireland. This is her story on how she found a place of love even in her dark days. My guest today is Lotte Lyne. Hello, Lottie. How are you today?
Hi, I'm very good. Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
That's very nice. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you originally from Ireland?
No, I'm actually originally from Denmark, but I live in Ireland with my Irish husband. So have been living here this time around for more than 20 years. And I was here as well back in the 80s as a teenager. But we went back to live in Denmark for 11 years and then came back to Ireland in 2001 with our family.
That's nice. You're basically Irish, so.
Yes, basically
Irish. So how long have you been living here?
Well, if you add the 2 times I lived here, 30 years about in and around just over 30 years.
This is a lifetime.
It's a lifetime and a bit, yeah. So yes, definitely. Basically Irish with a foreign accent.
That's no problem. When you have an accent, shows that you speak 2 languages. This is not what they say.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you have a favorite childhood memory, maybe from Denmark?
Yes. Well, I suppose my strongest childhood memory was probably from when I was 6 and we went traveling. My mom picked up myself and my brother and a couple of friends and went traveling for a year halfway across the world to India in an old Citroen van.
Oh, wow.
I think that's probably the strongest childhood memories I have and the things that I can remember the best from way back then. And probably too, maybe what has had the biggest impact on my life, maybe going forward as well and shaping who I am today.
Oh, wow. What an adventure. I would love to go to India. Did you have the chance to go back there as an adult?
That was my first time. Well, it took us a year altogether. We spent 3 years in India, but it was my first time in India. I haven't been back since, no. The very unorthodox way of traveling, yes. Saw a lot of all the countries on the way. So went down through Europe and in through over Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Tehran, all those countries on the way up and down. So definitely an experience.
Oh, wow. I'm sure you have so many nice memories from those years. Mainly for a child. You probably had so much fun. Oh, that's very nice. Now, Lottie, would like to talk a little bit about your son. I know that the year 2009 was a difficult year for you and your family. Would you mind to telling us how the day of 18th of June of 2009 changed your life forever?
Yes, that was the day that my 17-year-old son, Stefan, was brutally murdered in our local community. So yes, definitely a time and moment that changed my life forever going forward. Yes, he was my oldest son.
Yeah, I read some newspapers, articles from that time. It's been 12 years now, but to be honest, it wasn't easy reading. He was only a kid, only 17, did not have the time to fully experience life. And I'm very, very sorry that you and your family had to go through the situation. Would you say that part of your purpose in life now is to create a legacy for Stephen, as he hadn't had the time to do it himself?
Definitely. It's a huge part of my life and a passion of mine. Subsequently, I said a number of years, from the beginning, I always wanted to create something that would have an impact in memory of Stephen. And it took me a couple of years, but I subsequently started up the Stephen Lyne Foundation, where the main purpose is to raise empathy and compassion in children and young people. So that would be a huge passion of mine since Stephen passed.
And how important it was for you to create Stephen Lyne's Foundation in memory of your son?
It was very important at the time from the beginning, because Stephen was so young. He was 17. He didn't get a chance to fulfill his destiny or to live his life. So I wanted him to live on afterwards, forever more if possible. And I also wanted his memory to be associated with something different from the way he died. Compassion and empathy has always been hugely important, and more so than ever now. Our world really, really needs more empathy and compassion. So I couldn't find a better way. There wasn't anything that I wanted to do more than work in that space, raising empathy and compassion in the world. And it's needed more than ever now, even 12 years after. The need for it is there.
I couldn't agree more with you. I think it's beautiful the way that you turned a very, very hard moment that you had in life into something to help others. So from your attitude on not letting your son's memory die, you raised 50,000 to introduce the Roof of Empathy program around many schools in Ireland, and many kids and families have been impacted by your decision. How does it make you feel? Would you say that in some way you created a legacy for Stephen?
Yes, definitely. Like working with bringing Root of Empathy into schools in Ireland is definitely something absolutely amazing. It's a program that really has a deep impact and a very long-lasting impact in children's life. And it really, really does change the direction of some children's lives, and it raises empathy and compassion. It makes children less aggressive, reduces bullying and antisocial behavior. And just working with it and just seeing the win and just hearing it, even just the feedback from children and from families of the impact of Root of Empathy in their lives is just amazing. It really is, yeah.
And how does Roof of Empathy is being introduced in the Irish schools?
The center of the Root of Empathy is a neighborhood baby with the family. Baby comes into the school with either the mama or the dad or both parents once a month for a full year. The work that's done, it's a Root of Empathy instructor that's trained specifically to deliver the program that is there together with the classroom teacher. And the way that the baby teaches children empathy, they connect with that baby in a very deep level that you can't see in anywhere else. Like, because a baby doesn't have a language, a baby doesn't speak yet. So it's very much about reading the emotions and the reactions of the baby, the facial expressions and the body language. And through that whole program, it really, really absolutely works. The program has been around for 20 years. It was founded in Canada. So it's evidence-based. There's a lot of research done to prove that it does actually work with a long-term effect. And it's really amazing to watch the children's engagement and watch how they connect with that baby. It really is. It is pretty amazing, yeah.
That's beautiful. And after all those years of experience, everything that you went through, what would you say was the most important thing that you've learned in life?
The most important thing for me in life is probably that live today fully, like be mindful, be present in today, because the past is gone and the future, we really don't know what the future holds. So it's so important to just be present here and now and live your life today. Of course, we plan for the future and we learn from the past, absolutely. But it's important that we stay in the moment. I think that's probably the one single thing that I find the most important.
Definitely. It's a life lesson for everybody, you know? Stephen Lyne's Foundation brings our attention to having empathy for others and preventing bullying, which is an extremely important topic to be discussed nowadays. And how's the foundation going at the moment? Is it being impacted by COVID?
COVID has said, because of the nature of the work and the focus with the baby going into schools and things, it has been impossible for the last 2 years to do that. And it may be another year or more before that will be back up running normally. But the compassion and empathy in children and young people is something that I will continue doing like for the rest of my life in one way, shape or form. for sure.
Beautiful words, Lottie. Very inspiring. We hope for a brighter future for our kids, and I'm sure that your efforts might impact many lives.
Yes.
So, as you know, the sponsor of this podcast is Klokbox, a digital time capsule to be shared with future generations. So let's just imagine for 1 second here that Stephen had a Klokbox 12 years ago. What would you love to have found into his Klokbox? What would you think he would have left for you in there?
I would have loved probably a letter from him. Would definitely have been one thing that would have been fantastic to have a letter from him. And to maybe if he was doing a bit of journaling or a diary or some sort of, writing over time that could have followed him back from he was small, his thoughts and his personality.
Yeah.
And maybe even something that meant a lot to him, an item, something personal. Those three things, I think they would be. And photos, his favorite photos, maybe, yes.
I watched the video that I think his brother created, I think was 11 years ago.
Yes.
I was beautiful with loads of pictures from him having a great time.
Yes.
It was very nice to watch.
Yes.
I really liked it. And what would you say that would you put into your Klokbox?
Again, actually, what I would put into my Klokbox would be a letter for each of the people that I care the most about, like my children, my grandchildren, my husband maybe, and other people, a letter. And one of the things that I actually, and photos as well, lots of photos. And one of the things that I actually regret maybe now looking back on my time here, noticed that I didn't journal from a very young age. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That is one thing. If I could go back and change that, I would do that, maybe more, journal more and write more down memories and stuff. And that's definitely something I would put in there as well.
That's beautiful.
And maybe some personal items, that meant a lot to me, that they would be able, something physical, they'd be able to keep as a token, a memory.
Yeah, to keep our legacy forever. And it's basically what you're doing with Stephen. That's beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah. I really appreciate the time you took to speak with us. It was nice to catch up with you and get to know a little bit better and understand more about Stephen's life and the reason why you create Stephen Lyne Foundation. And I think it's beautiful the way that you turned this hard moment into your life into something that you're helping others in the future. And very good luck with Roots of Empathy. And I hope you get back on the school soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Bye. We would like to finish this episode with a poem from Lotte Lyne, Stephen's brother.
1,000,000 times we've wanted you, and 1,000,000 times we've cried. If our love alone could save you, you never would have died.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Stories for Tomorrow. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. This podcast is sponsored by Klokbox, a digital memory box of your life to be shared with future generations. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.